Back in 2007, the car world came to a screeching halt when Nissan dropped this, the GT-R. Godzilla, a mighty car for the masses, a car that we could take from 0 to 60 in under 3 seconds with a dual clutch transmission with launch control. But that was then, and today is today. And of course today there are a lot of cars that do what this did back in 2007, but this Godzilla is the original. So in this video we're going to take it for a ride, we're going to talk about the styling, we're going to see how the car has aged, and we're going to find out if launch control actually works.
What's going on, guys? Alex here with some advice from this video's sponsor, Surfshark VPN. At TFL, we travel all around the country to review the latest and greatest cars and trucks. That means we have to rely on sketchy public and shared Wi-Fi spots that can put all the work we load onto our computers and phones at risk. That's where Surfshark VPN comes to the rescue. Using a VPN prevents cookies and trackers from loading onto your computer. It also protects against malware. As a bonus, this security should boost mobile data and browser speeds by stopping that hidden software from clogging up your internet connection. With Surfshark, you can confidently use any public Wi-Fi on an unlimited number of computers and smartphones, all for less than $3 a month. Use the code FASTLANE to get 83% off plus 3 extra months for free. Surfshark offers a 30-day money-back guarantee, so there's no risk to try it out for yourself. Just click on the link in the description below.
So Tommy, why don't you take them through the styling?
Yeah, so the R35 generation of the GT-R, it has changed in the last 13, 14 years. They have updated it, but it still is an iconic design. This is, well, it's the GT-R. It could be nothing else. In the front here, we've got these swept back headlights, which still look great even all these years later. Big hood vents, and of course, the low front splitter. Seriously low front splitter. I mean, we're talking supercar levels of clearance in the front there. Now this is rolling on a set of 20-inch wheels, 255/40 ZRF20s, a serious performance tire on this one. Along the side here, big side vents, GT-R letterings. What are you doing back there?
I'm going to show you and you guys this handcrafted engine. You know, the engine is built in like a sterile room where dust can't get into it, so that it is precision manufactured to Nissan's exacting standards. And get this, check this out, just like a Mercedes-Benz AMG, hand built by, you want to try saying that dude's name, Tommy?
I don't want to offend that gentleman who assembled this magnificent 3.8 liter twin turbo V6. Now when this car debuted, it was infamous for being 0 to 60 in under 3 seconds. It still is apparently under 3 seconds from 60. 565 horsepower doesn't sound like a ton by today's standards. I think it's 467 pound-feet of torque.
Yeah, in that time, of course, we've had McLarens, we've had Porsches up the ante, we've had just a bunch of cars that, you know, have now replaced the GT-R as the in-car, right? For a while it was the Demon with its almost 850 horsepower, dragster-inspired Hellcat engine, but this was the car that, at least when it came out, a lot of people put up on their walls.
And how could we forget, you know, the new Teslas now, which are the new 0 to 60 kings in a lot of ways, but the GT-R is still around all these years later and still looking fantastic. Got that classic two-door profile with the swept rear end. Big spoiler on this one, and I do love the quad exhaust sticking out the rear. Now these are a blue finish, but you notice that the bezels are huge. The actual inner workings of the exhaust are really pretty small. Out back here, got a pretty low rear splitter, excuse me, GT-R badging, the iconic quad taillights. I think it still looks fantastic even all these years later. And check this out, this is pretty funky. Look at all the space you get in the trunk. It's got a big trunk. It really is pretty usable for what is typically considered a budget supercar.
You know, back in that day I used to stuff Nathan in the trunk, and I think he'd actually fit in there.
I think we did once.
Yeah, we may have stuffed
I think there's a good chance that we did stick him in there.
One of the things that GT-R was known for when it first came out was roasting its transmission because of launch control.
Yeah.
So let's send this out to our dead-end road and give it to Alex to find out exactly how launch control works and if it's quicker using launch control or just doing it the old-fashioned way by brake torquing it.
All right, here we go, 0 to 60 in the 2021 Nissan GT-R. We're here on our dead end road, so no traffic, exactly what we want. Nice straight road with nothing in front of me. I'm leaving the car pretty much how it is. I'm in drive, not touching with any of the settings. I'm not gonna mess with the paddle shifters, just gonna brake torque it as high as it'll let me and see what it does. Rev it up a little bit, it's letting me get to like almost 2,000 RPM. And here we go. There we go. 4.77, 0 to 60, which is a lot slower than the 2.9 Nissan says, but yeah, that was a pretty slow launch. Of course, I didn't have launch control off, but yeah, it took off really slow, and then all of a sudden, boom, power kicked in, really started moving, but took a second to get there. 4.77 was the first 0 to 60. I'm gonna try it one more time. I had all of these 3 switches in the standard setting. I'm gonna put the transmission and the suspension into the R mode. We're gonna leave VDC in the standard setting, vehicle dynamic control. We're gonna leave that where it is for now, because if I put that in R mode, it's gonna engage launch control. So we're gonna leave that where it is. Let's do one more run going this way, because we are a little downhill versus the other way. We came a little bit uphill. Okay, same thing, the Solo DL is all zeroed out. I've now got the transmission and the suspension in R mode. I'm gonna do the same thing, brake torque it as much as it'll let me. And now we're moving, there we go. 4.76, so we shaved off a tiny bit, but basically the same result with having the suspension and the transmission in R mode. Let's try launch control. All right, so to engage launch control on the GT-R, you need to hold up on these 2 switches, both the transmission and VDC, put them in R mode, and then you're good to go. Just put your foot on the brake, right foot on the gas, let it build up to the right RPM, and then let go of the brake and you're off. I'm also gonna put the suspension in R mode, because why not? All right, here we go. Left foot on the brake, right foot on the gas, let it build up to 4,000, let go, and we're off. Much quicker, 3.99. So from 3.77, so from 4.77 and 4.76 to 3.99. Launch control definitely helps speed this car up. All right, and now same thing with launch control. We're gonna go the other way just to make sure that that isn't affecting anything. And I've still got all 3 settings in the R mode. All right, here we go. The Solo DL is all zeroed out. Left foot on the brake, right foot on the gas, 4,000 RPM. Let go of the brake, and we're off. 60. Okay, so that was better, 3.75. So launch control basically cut a second off of the 0 to 60 time. So launch control definitely works. Someone had to test it. But we're still quite a ways off from the 2.9 that Nissan claims. Granted, we are a mile above sea level. It's also a pretty cold day today. It's under 40 degrees. But yeah, launch control definitely works, and it's pretty fun too.
You know, the thing that's always kind of been a trademark, Tommy, of the GT-R, besides those giant exhausts, is the fact that this car makes a lot of weird noises, right? It like burps, it like beeps, it like moans. Let me show you. Let me start up. You can kind of hear what I'm talking about.
Yeah, that is funky. It does make some crazy noises. Now check out that key. That is something you'd find out of like a Frontier, maybe a Titan, except it says GT-R on the top. It is not a very premium looking key, and that kind of sets the tone for the interior. None of the buttons or switchware really feel all that good, considering that this car is over $100,000. It's kind of just a sea of black plastics. These stocks are basically the same out of every other Nissan product. The seats are very nice. They are handcrafted, stitched seats, but apart from that, not a lot of specialty in here.
Yeah, you know, when this car first came out, it was like in the 70s, right?
Right.
And it was a supercar bargain. But now, how much is this one? I think it's 120.
121.
Yeah, at 121,000. The interior is starting to feel a little bit dated.
Like, look at the screen. Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
It's just, it's pretty slow to respond, and it is not looking very modern by 21 standards.
Yeah, but keep in mind when this came out, right? To have an all-wheel drive, twin turbo, launch control monster that could do 0 to 60 in under 3 seconds at, say, 75,000 was just mind-blowing, because even back then, like a Porsche 911 Turbo S, right, would have been $150,000. So basically you got Turbo S performance at half the price.
There is some really good stuff though. The steering wheel is super high quality. I like the stitch center. I actually really enjoy the analog gauges, so it still has good old-fashioned needles and a speedometer that goes up to 220, and it's got this crazy shifter.
And, you know, probably the most iconic thing about these are these 3 little gauges. Those have not changed, right?
Oh, the switches to put it into R mode?
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So you can hold these up and engage the special R program for the platform and the engine and the traction control and all that.
And the shock absorbers. So that puts it kind of in track mode, and it makes this car furious and fast.
I also like how...
You didn't get my...
Furious and fast.
Yeah.
Yes, I get it. I also like the kind of the double... separated.
See what I did there was I turned it around. I didn't say fast, because that would have been a cliche. So all right.
So
I try, guys. I try.
I want to talk about the roof. It's cool. I like this separated. It feels like the Batmobile in here. How there's a divider.
Yeah, you know what else feels like the Batmobile?
What?
The fact that it's a sea of black.
Yeah.
There is a little bit of gold here. But you know what? I still lust after this car. So shall we take it for a ride? Let's not put it in R mode, because we will not get over the curb in R mode without breaking a kidney or two. But let's take it for a ride and see how it drives.
Sure.
Look, it's got a real shifter, Tommy.
Yeah, automatic and manual modes. This is an interesting transmission. It's a 6-speed 6.
Dual clutch.
It is a dual clutch, yeah. And we'll see how that works in the real world. I will say it does feel pretty refined. I mean, this is a car that I think will last quite some time. It feels very well made.
You know, I want to say the last GT-R I drove was maybe like 6 or 7 years ago. And I got to tell you, Tommy, I am a huge fan of the Z car. And I was really bummed out because the Z car was always the top dog in the Nissan lineup. And then they brought the Nissan GT-R in, which made it the top dog. And that's great for the GT-R, but I kind of feel like the Z kind of just died, right? They stopped developing it.
It depends where you are in the world. I mean, here in the States, the Z has been the performance model, but in Japan, you know, you got the R32, the R34s. Those have always been the top of the heap. And even though this car, I was giving it heck for being pretty dated, yeah. I think you'll find it still goes like stink.
Yeah, let's do a little bit of a acceleration test, getting on this road. I'm gonna give it the beans. Here we go. Forward. Oh yeah. There it is. We got wheel spin, dude.
And you do get those nice crisp shifts. That dual clutch is super quick.
You know, sometimes you need a vehicle to remind you of just how fun and good it is, and getting back in this thing certainly reminds me of that. Well, shall we close this up, get out and kind of give our last thoughts on this?
Yep, for sure.
All right, Tommy, they say never meet your idols, but I have met my idol and I have come away impressed. But herein lies the rub, right? For 120+ thousand, you can get a Tesla Model S with ludicrous mode, right? That'll blow the doors off this thing now.
Yeah, but it looks like a doorstop. Or you can get this magnificent looking vehicle that will, granted, probably not keep up with the newer performance Teslas, but is still one hell of a quick vehicle, and it's a Nissan, so it's gonna be pretty well made.
All right, so let me try this again. For 120+ thousand, you can get a Porsche 911 Carrera 4, right? That will probably keep up with us.
Yeah, but that's going to be like a total base model with no passenger side mirror and cloth seats and
oh, for God's sake,
manual everything. I mean, it is an old platform. It feels old on the inside, but it still is pretty darn fun to drive.
So let us know in the comments below. Do you still lust after the mighty Godzilla, or has time passed it on and have we moved on to faster and quicker and newer and fancier and glitzier vehicles?
Well, let us know. As always, this is Tommy.
And Roman saying thanks for watching, and check out TFLcar.com for more news, views,
and real world reviews.
See you guys next time. Ciao.